So take your time just on that note, and when you feel like you're getting somewhere with it, check this out. So what we're going to do, we're using the A minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to use the second octave, and we're going to have a look at which notes sound good when we bend them in riffs. So here we go. Here's the first octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next note is the octave is the A. Okay, so that's where we're starting from. Now, as a general rule, don't bend your octave. People do, but they generally know what they're doing. So to start with, I'd leave it alone, because you might just make it sound a little bit rough. So we're not going to bend that one. We are going to bend the second note in the scale. Okay, so that's fret 5 on the G, and I've got my first finger on this one, so I'm just going to give it a little tweak. I'm not going to try and put too much strain on my first finger here. By the way, if you're doing this on an acoustic, a steel stringed acoustic guitar, you've got a wound G string. Pretty tough doing this on the third string, so don't put too much effort in, because you don't want to knacker your fingers, basically. So little tweak with your first finger, pushing it up. You can even pull that one down if you want. For all of the other bends where we get more than one finger on, pretty much always we want to push it up like that. Okay, so on the third string, on fret 7, we're going to bend. That's actually the third note in the scale. 1, 2, 3. So that third note in the scale, we're going to bend that as you did before. Fourth note in the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't bend this one like the root note. People do, but generally they know what they're doing, and if you're not sure where you're trying to bend to, it's probably just going to sound a bit rough, a bit nasty. So we'll leave that one, not the root note, not the fourth note, but we can also bend the fifth note if we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so bend and release on that one would be good as well. So if you just want to pause this and practice that, not the root, bend the second one, bend the third one, not the fourth one, bend the fifth one. There's my octave. Okay, so you can have a little mess around with any of those. Couple of things to think about. We're actually bending the notes out of tune, so a bend and release is a really good thing here, because we're not leaving the note hanging on the out of tune pitch, the out of tune note. We're coming back down to a kind of safe place where it sounds nice and musical. Okay, so it's kind of a bit edgy and it's come back to a nice place again. You don't necessarily want to do that all the time though, so what you can do is you can actually clip, you can actually stop the bend as you get to the top of it. So I've not let it hang there on a note that's sounding out of tune, on a pitch that's sounding out of tune. So I can stop that just with my pick. So quite sort of jumpy, but sounds much better than... That's just out of tune basically. One more thing you can do like a slow bend, and you can, just before you stop bending, you go into another note. So you basically don't leave the note ringing out of tune. It, what we call, resolves to another note. Okay, so that's just makes it sound much more musical. Because this is only level 1, you might not have looked at string bending at all before, so we're not bothered about bending up to like an accurate pitch. So for example, when people get a bit more experience, sometimes they'll think, well, there's a note, there's another one, I'm going to try and I'm going to try and bend up to that note. We're not going to worry about that. I just want to get the actual action, the sort of mechanism of bending correct first, and then you can you know, look at different ways of expanding that. So literally there are the notes from the A minor pentatonic scale. It works in any pentatonic scale. Not the root, you can bend the second note, the third note, not the fourth note, bend the fifth note. Okay, and that works in the lower octave as well. So here I'm going to pull the strings down, because if I push them up, I'm just going to come off the edge of the fretboard. So there's the second note. Here's the third one. I'm going to pull this down as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, not the fourth one, bend the fifth one. Okay, probably don't sound quite as effective, these lower ones, but they still get used a lot. Not as much as the top ones, but you know, at the minute we've just got this one place on the fretboard, so try and get as much out of it as you can. And it's obviously great to combine these with hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, you know, and you can start to come up with your own riffs. So effectively that's like improvising, or even composing, even writing songs. But the hardest thing is trying to get this hand position. So every time you bend, don't rush it, just make sure you get this clamp and you're trying to pivot from your wrist and not flex your fingers. Scoop up from underneath the string a bit, and hopefully you should get used to it. Now there's a couple of level 1 songs which use some nice solos with string bends in. There's level 1 blues funk. It's got some great sort of pentatonic riffs and solos, and there's also the level 1 classic rock, which has also got some string bends in the solos there. So if you want to try these in a full song structure, be great for your playing, really help sort of bring you on a bit. So hope you've enjoyed the lesson, hope you found it useful, and we look forward to seeing you here again soon on Code a Guitar.